Hello and welcome once again. As you can see, I'm holding a really tiny bunny and it fits well into the walnut shell. And I think the nose makes it look like a dog, but I swear I was trying to make a bunny. So, but you can see it's really tiny and it's really cute. So, I'm going to show you how I made this in this video, and I hope you do make your own. For this project, I'm using a pipe cleaner. I haven't used a pipe cleaner for something so small, but I think it does make things a bit easier. So I'm just measuring out the walnut shell, and it is around 3 centimeters the inside. So I have to keep my animal smaller than 3. So around 2.5 centimeter would be okay because I have to wrap wool on it. So I'm just folding in the sharp end so it doesn't stick out because it's really tiny and don't want any sharp edges. So after it's folded, I still need to get it to be 2.5 centimeters. So I'm gonna cut a bit longer so I can fold in the other sharp end as well. So it's folded from both sides and still is 2.5 centimeters. So you have to be careful because you need it to fit into the walnut shell. So it's like a bean, and I'm going to wrap cordial sliver on it, and taken a really tiny shred because you can keep wrapping and make things easier for yourself, but we need it to fit into the walnut shell and we don't want it to get any bigger. So very little wool at a time, and just wrapping it around. I'm going to cover the whole body first, and then I'm going to shape the head. So I'm carefully stabbing down the wool, and you have to be careful that you don't break your needle, and it has to be wrapped as well. So I'm just carefully going over it. The other day I saw really big walnut shells in the market, but the ones I have are pretty small. So if you've got a bigger walnut shell, then it's easier for you. So I'm just trying to make it nice and firm. Now I'm covering it with the rest of the wool. Just going around. And you can see as you have just folded it in that one part is going to be the head, the other part is going to be the body, and with a slight bend is going to be the neck. So it's in the shape of a bean. So when you're drawing characters, you start with a bean, so it's just like that. So I'm bending a part of it that is going to be the head, and as you can see I've wrapped more wool on the body part of the animal, and the top end that's bended, that's going to be the head. Now I'm carefully going to wrap more wool just around the cheeks. So I've got a little nose sticking out, and this could be a mouse as well because it's got a pointy mouth. But if you add more cheeks on both the sides right next to the nose, Then it will make the shape of a bunny's head. If you don't add cheeks, starting from the nose, then it's going to be a mouse. So it's up to you if you want to make a mouse out of it. Just tapping it to make it nice and firm, and I don't want to get it too fat, so I'm going to just, sorry about that, that's my cat right in the middle. Let's wait for him to get out of focus. Okay, so as you can see, I'm already trying to determine where the eyes are going to be with my needle. So I know the forehead and the mouth. So it's a little shape of a bean, adding more wool to the tummy, just trying to make it balance. I'm going to keep stabbing it, and be careful. My needle is already bended, but it hasn't broken yet, so I'm using a bended needle. And it has been bended for a long time, but it didn't snap. So let's see how long it's gonna last. So it is taking shape, just to make sure got the size right. Still small, it fits in. You have to keep measuring, because when you're done with the details, don't want it to be too big. Now I'm going to work on the shape and keep stabbing it. Make the rear end. As you can see, it's just sticking out the wool. So I'm going to make it rounded, and so I'm just gonna stab it into shape and keep going till it's nice and smooth. Because it's small, it still takes a lot of time, so you can't say that if the object is small, you're gonna get over with it really soon. It does take time, because you have to be more careful with the tiny details. And because of the wire, the pipe cleaner, it does stand, so you don't have to worry too much about the balance. I'm adding a little more wool around the head, because you have to add tiny amounts at a time. So just making it come into shape. So this is a close-up, and as you can see, I'm just pushing in where I want the eyes to be, and I'm going to mark them with a pen. Because it's so small, you have to mark with a pen or a marker. So now I'm using a very thin wool, it's mohair, and I'm just gonna attach it. I'm going to start with the face, and as you can see, I'm just pushing in and making tiny loops of it, and it's a bit furry and very soft. Need a thicker needle for that. And it's going to give the impression of fur. So I'm not just pushing it and I'm making really tiny loops with my needle. I'm going to cover the whole thing. But I think I need to attach the eyes. Just trying out how it goes, so I think this is gonna work. Because every piece you do is an experiment and something you do for the first time. So just trying out this. Well, I have made a teddy bear with it before, but on something really so tiny, I think it is working. So I'm just gonna leave out the nose and the muzzle part. I'm gonna use light colored wool on it, but the rest of the face and the body I'm gonna cover. Going to stop here and add eyes, and I'm using dark brown color and a really tiny shade. I've just cut it with my scissors because I want a really tiny dot of an eye, and really carefully just pushing it in because there's wire inside. It makes things a bit more trickier to do. Keep the shape right and dash the eye. And on the other side as well. And you have to be sure that they are symmetrical. So I think smaller things are more difficult to do. Just pushing in a little piece of wool. Just seeing if I've got it on the right place. Now I'm going to use some carded wool just to shape the mouth and the muzzle and the nose, because if I cover that with the yarn that I'm using to cover the rest of the face and the body, then the features are just gonna get all mixed up. So with a lighter color that matches the yarn that I've used, I'm gonna shape a little nose and the mouth. It's really tiny, but you have to make it prominent somehow. So it's just carded wool that I'm using. And I'm shaping it with my needle, just getting it in there and shaping the line of the line that you get under the nose and the chin. I've cut a little tiny piece of wool again with my scissor, and I'm going to form a little nose. And because it's tiny, I thought that it will look cuter with a nose. But at the end, I realized that it made it look like a dog. So if you get to the end of the video, you'll see that I fixed this. But right now, I'm adding the brown color for the nose, trying to make a little triangle. Seems fine at this point, but then I added more brown to it, and I think that was where it went wrong and made it look like a dog. But I do fix it at the end, as you will see if you get to the end of the video. So this wasn't symmetrical, although I was trying to be, but it wasn't. So I'm trying to get it out and get it on the right spot. This eye is a bit lower than it was supposed to be. I'm removing the wool very carefully with a pin. I'm going to do it again. Right where it is supposed to be. If you see from above, like if you keep rotating your piece, you'll see where the eye is supposed to be, and that one was a bit lopsided, so fixing that. Before moving on and covering the whole bunny with the yarn, I have to make the ears and the limbs first. So I'm making the ears and taking very small amount of wool. I'm just felting it down. So when it's felted, then I can shape it a bit because it's so small. I have to felt it first and then give it shape. So I'm just tapping it. I think my table moves with my needle, and so the whole video moves. I have to fix that. Just rubbing it on my palm. Oh, it's too big. But it's not felted well right now, so I'm going to shape it. I'm just folding the edges, making it round, getting the edges in. So when it's folded and it's felted, it's gonna be smaller. So I'm using my needle to shape it and taking it off the mat so it doesn't stick to the mat because it's so small. And I'm going to make the edges rounder. As you can see, it has become quite small once it's felted well. Felting from both the sides. So when it's felted well, it won't stick to the mat. So and I think got the size right and want them to be the droopy ears. So I've made two of them. I'm attaching them to the back of the head. You have to get the ears in place first before you cover the whole thing with the yarn. Again, you have to be careful because of the wire and attaching the ends to the head, to the top of the head, because it's going to be covered anyways with the yarn. So just carefully stab them down so they're nice and secure in place. And small things are really fun to do, although they are a bit difficult, but you'll enjoy them. Once you're happy with placement of the ears, you can continue with the yarn. I was gonna continue with the yarn, then I realized that I need the limbs first. So you just have to fold in the yarn and keep stabbing. So you get little tiny circles. To shape the limbs, I'm using a very thin florist wire. And you can use a toothpick as well, but this is, I think, around the same size. And we just rolled over tiny shred of wool and stabbing down the roll. It's just a roll of wool. And I'm shaping the limbs. These are going to be the hands, Just roll them in between your fingers when you're done. Makes them neat. So I have to make two arms and 2 feet. I'm going to shape the other one. For the feet, I'm using a toothpick, just rolling some wool over it. You don't want too much. I'm just pushing the end of it inside so you get a rounded end. So when you roll the wool over a toothpick, you'll get a really thin edge to it. So you just have to stab down the edge, like stab it right inside, so you'll get a round shape. I hope that makes sense. Just pushing it in. Don't want it to be too big. Just enough to show underneath the body. So here the limbs are formed, the arms and the feet are a bit slightly darker than the arms and very slightly bigger too than the arms. Now I'm stabbing them in place right at the back of the body. Make sure they're nice and secure. Attaching the arms first, then I'm going to attach the feet right at the bottom. Now I've covered the rest of the bunny with the wool, as I've shown you earlier, with the yarn, sorry. And now I'm covering the tummy part with very light colored wool. You can use a white or pink if you want. You can cover it with yarn if you like to, but I thought that it should be different from the back. So I added some powdered wool. Now I'm going to give it a tiny tail. Just a little shred of wool. So it can stand on its own and it fits nicely in the walnut shell. And you can just shape it with your fingers, and it looks really cute. And as the big nose was bothering me, I'm going to try and fix that. I'm making it neat using the finest needle that I have. It's a light blue, tipped from Heidi feathers. I think it's a 42. I'm using my watercolor marker just to make the eyes more prominent and the line of the mouth, giving some shade on the ears. Just little details you can add. Carefully snipping off the extra wool, the little strands that stick out. You can just trim them. So now I'm going to fix the nose and make it look a bit more like a bunny than a dog. So I'm adding more yarn to the cheeks, making them a bit more chubbier. With chubbier cheeks, it's gonna look more like a bunny. But the nose, I'm gonna cover it with a little lighter color and see how it looks. It should make a difference. Hmm. Because it's so small, you can't fill down the extra bits of wool. You have to cut them off. Adding yarn to it as well. It is a bit tricky. Trying to push it in as I'm covering the area where the dark nose was. Trying to get it in shape. Make it look more like a bunny. If you like it with the darker nose, because it does look cute, you can leave it at that. I'm just trying to fix mine. So I think this is done now. I'm just gonna color the tip with my marker, and it's good to go. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed.